This is Shelley Craft coming to you live on SNNLive. We're at the Disruptive Growth Company Showcase 2017 here in New York City. I have with me today on the program Hank Lambert from PURE Bioscience. It's a publicly traded company and the symbol is PURE on OTC markets. Welcome back to SNNLive.
Thanks, Shelley. It's great to be back with you.
It's good to have you. Let's get started with an overview of the company for our audience, and we'll go from there.
Sure. At PURE Bioscience, we're involved in addressing the significant need in the food industry to address the unfortunately persistent food-borne illness outbreaks that are traced back to food processors and restaurant chains, dramatically affecting their brands and financial value, as well as affecting the health of the consumers and customers that frequent the restaurants and use their products. So we have two solutions to address food safety requirements of the food industry. One, our original food safety solution is Pure Hard Surface, which is a EPA-registered food contact surface disinfectant. And secondly, we have recently introduced and are commercializing Pure Control, which is a direct food contact processing aid used in the processing of poultry and produce.
So Hank, we last saw each other and did an interview in June. Anything happened since then that you want to update us on?
Absolutely. We've had a very busy summer, Shelley. As you recall, last time in June, we talked about the fact that we had just commercialized Pure Control for produce processing and had our first customer, Taylor Farms, which is in fact the largest produce processor in the country. And since they ordered initially in the spring of this year, they are now scaling up and rolling out to their produce processing facilities, initially in California and soon across the country. In addition to that, this summer we received in late August USDA approval for use of Pure Control in poultry processing, in pre-online reprocessing applications as well as post-immersion chiller applications. And what this approval means is that we're now approved for use in parts processing, which is really about 75 to 80% of the processing done by poultry processors, and 75 to 80% of the poultry sold to consumers is in the form of parts. We're now approved for use in dip tanks for parts processing. So that's been a significant development on the regulatory front, and we're in the process now of testing with two poultry processors for use during their parts processing. In addition to that, with Pure Hard Surface, we've developed a unique food transport sanitization solution. This is in response to regulations and rules that were handed down by the FDA under the Food Safety Modernization Act that require the sanitization of trailers and trucks that are transporting food. We've developed a unique misting application where we can clean and disinfect a 53-foot food transport trailer in about 15 minutes, which is a huge productivity savings versus what they're currently doing, which is flood applying quaternary ammonia in many cases, which takes up to an hour and a half to 2 hours and is highly toxic. Our Pure Hard Surface, as you know, based on SDC, is non-toxic, and therefore the chemistry that is placed into the wastewater after cleaning and sanitizing the trucks is non-toxic to the environment, is environmentally friendly, in addition to the productivity savings that we're able to generate, as well as a 5-log reduction in pathogens inside the truck. In addition to that, we've also developed a similar solution for pallets that transport food items. We can sanitize pallets, which is something that increasingly food processors are demanding of their transport companies. So we've also got a unique solution for treating pallets, and we're working with some of the largest food service distributors as well as the largest pallet supplier to the food industry to introduce pallet sanitization solutions as well as food transport sanitization solutions. So we've had a lot going on. And then finally, on the restaurant chain front, we're in the final stages of operational scale up with two national restaurant chains who will be bringing in Pure Hard Surface, again, initially driven by our unique effectiveness in controlling norovirus in a restaurant environment.
So that's something that sounds to me like it could be unique to your company. Is there any other company in your entire area, competitively speaking, that can go literally from cradle to almost serving people?
Right, we do feel we have solutions all the way across the food supply chain. And in terms of being unique, we are clearly unique in our food transport sanitization solution and our pallet sanitization solution. And we hope to be able to leverage that, first to market, first mover advantage in that area in particular, because this is something that food companies and food transport companies and carriers in particular are focused on now that they're coming under greater scrutiny from the FDA to ensure the sanitization of their trucks.
Between the USDA and the FDA and all of the work that goes into getting those approvals, does that become a barrier to entry for other competitors?
It does, clearly. I mean, these are unique approvals that we have. Our EPA registration for Pure Hard Surface as a food contact surface disinfectant is unique. Our USDA approvals for use during poultry processing, pre-OLR and post-immersion chiller, is again unique to our chemistry. And then similarly, our FDA approvals for use in produce processing is again unique for our chemistry. So in terms of barriers to entry, those approvals and the EPA registration certainly provide some barriers, but I think the other barrier is the unique effectiveness of our chemistry and the fact that we kill a broader range of pathogens faster than other chemistries on the market and in use today, and we have the unique feature of being non-toxic. We're EPA Category 4 in terms of toxicity, which is the lowest rating by the EPA. Other chemistries that are being used both as food contact surface disinfectants as well as processing aids are highly toxic. They contain danger symbols and warning labels. So we feel we've got a unique competitive advantage in that as well.
Let me ask you another question. That is, now that you're getting through these trials, you've already been through the tribulations. How do you describe what you think the industry adoption rate will be on your products?
Well, it's accelerating. It's initially, because we're a new disruptive technology in the food safety space, and we're going up against some very well-established, large, well-capitalized competitors, we are having to prove ourselves. And we have to prove ourselves through extensive testing in the customer's operations, which is understandable. If they're going to bring in a new chemistry, they're going to want to do extensive testing. Fortunately, we have proven very successful in all of that testing, in addition to being more efficacious and driving a higher reduction in pathogens on surfaces or on produce and poultry. We're also non-toxic. We don't have to be rinsed off like current chemistries do. So all of those things tend to help with adoption. I think the biggest boost that we're getting in terms of adoption, though, is by having some of these initial validating customers like Subway and Chipotle and the restaurant side, like Taylor Farms and produce, and some of the poultry processors that we'll be working with. Having them as first adopters really validates our technology, and that will tend to shorten the sales cycle going forward.
Hank, let's get your website out there for more information, if you would.
www.purebio.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hank Lambert, PURE Bioscience. It's a publicly traded company on the OTC markets. The symbol is PURE. I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive, and we're coming to you live from the Disruptive Growth Company Showcase 2017 right here in New York City. Hank, thank you very much for coming on.
Shelley, thank you. Always a pleasure.